All right. All right, so today's webinar is going to be about commercial tobacco cessation resources. What we're going to learn about today is we're going to go over a little bit about different resources, examples of how they may be used, who may be interested in them, and more importantly, how to access them. We'll be going over some cessation methods, cessation programs, pharmaceutical aids, which can be a cessation method in and of itself, resources for providers. So if anyone is watching that might be running a clinic or something of the sort and want to explore different ways to address referrals in their clinic, there'll be some information for you guys as well. And then we'll be going over some e-cigarette information. There's so much information out there right now. Some of it is new, but it can be a little convoluted, and sometimes if it's from a different source, it can be some of it can be misinformation. So I wanted to share with everybody a concise, reliable resource that I think is a good one to stick to until they come out with more research that is also concise and reliable. So we'll hop into we'll hop into some quitting methods. So these are the different methods that someone could be using to try to quit, essentially. So there's cold turkey. That's the most difficult. This is a term used for someone that's just saying, you know what, I quit, I'm never smoking again, and uses no program, no pharmaceutical aids. So that one's only has about a 5% success rate, and it's difficult to do on your own. There's the gradual method, and this can be done with or without assistance. So you could do a gradual using pharmaceutical aids or gradually do with a program. But generally, this is advised in preparation for your quit date. So for example, if you are a smoker that smokes 3 packs a day, which is a lot, you may want to taper down and use the tapering method to go down to maybe 1 pack a day before you hit your quit date. That way you don't go from 3 packs a day to 0, because that'll be pretty difficult to do. But that's kind of a generalization. Everybody is quit plan is individual and kind of tailored to the person, but that's one way that gradual seems to be recommended. There's also pharmaceutical aids. These can be nicotine replacement therapy or non-nicotine replacement therapy, and we'll go over what that means and what are our different options. I'd like to add that cessation programs are also a quitting method, but since the next 8 slides are all on different programs, I didn't include them on this sheet, but they can be a program to use by themselves or in combination with a pharmaceutical aid or something of that nature. So why is it important to know what the different methods are is so that you can help tailor to the needs of your patient, friend, family, or even yourself. All right, so what kind of programs are out there? Some people may assume that there's, only a sit in a circle and chat kind of program, but that's not the case. That certainly is a method, and that's basically a group counseling program. But there's a lot of different stuff out there, so that's kind of some of the ones I'll be covering today. And which one is best or which one works better, it kind of depends on what the person is looking for, and kind of what they have to tailor to their lifestyle. Maybe they want to do a group cessation program, but they can't, so they have to look for, a second best option. So let me go over these, and then we'll kind of dive deeper into each one throughout the webinar. So there's group counseling programs, there's self-help programs, and then there is web and mobile based. So I kind of lump these together because if they have a website, sometimes they have a mobile app, and sometimes they only have a mobile app and not a website, but usually they kind of go hand in hand with each other, and sometimes they even link out to like their telephone service. And I'll kind of dive deeper into these, and again, which is best is tailored onto which program the patient's going to be most receptive to. So let's move on with group counseling programs. This is a more traditional method. As I mentioned before, you can sit in a circle and chat type of program. It's usually a more formal program with a counselor that provides guidance. It can be provided in a clinic by a counselor or an organization, and it has increased social support. So if you're a person that really wants that like bonding, or you want to feel like you're not alone in it, these programs are really good for that. But they usually follow some kind of guide or curriculum. Some examples of this type of program kind of look like this. So these are two really comprehensive examples of group program curriculums. They can help you lead group sessions if you're the one that's leading them. The orange one is from the American Academy of Family Physicians, and the blue one is from the National Cancer Institute. And the links are where you can find these are posted here on each of the slide. I don't think they're clickable, but I can send them out to you guys. You can jot them down, or I can try to link them when we upload it to the YouTube channel. But I did include links to where you can find all of these throughout the webinar, because one of our goals here is to increase access to different programs. I would like to state that I do not work for either of these organizations. I'll be mentioning several other organizations that I don't work for. I'm not trying to sell anything or promote any particular product, but just putting that out there. So let's dive a little deeper into what a group cessation program may entail. These kinds of programs will usually include all the worksheets that you need to find out what your nicotine triggers are, identifying why you use nicotine. They'll help you identify the challenges that you have, individually, or that you can find for yourself. It'll help you set a quit date, and they usually include a counselor or facilitator, or even peers to assist you with the social support and overcoming those challenges. So let me read a little bit from the table of contents from, I don't know, do you want to choose one? Let's choose the American Academy of Family Physicians one. That's the orange one. And I have it here. So, 1 second. Sorry, guys. So I'm just going to read a little bit from it to share what one might kind of sound like. So this one goes over what group visits are, and it has a little paragraph or blurb. It says group visits include a group educational session plus most components of an individual visit, including one-on-one medical evaluations conducted by a physician or nurse practitioner. It also includes things like how much time do you need for your group visits. So if you're trying to figure out just like even the logistics, how much time am I going to need? Like, who am I going to need? How do I need a room for it? That kind of stuff is in this guide to help you provide a group session. And it comes with all the worksheets that you'll need to give out to your patients, so you don't feel like you're just doing it alone if you were trying to adopt one or create one. This would be a really cool one to follow. So it even tells you 1 week in advance, have your receptionist call or remind the patients 2 days in advance, and it kind of guides you to be able to do that and feel like more empowered to have a group session or hold a group session yourself. Sorry. Okay, so hopefully that gives a little bit of insight into what some group sessions might be, and I encourage you to check these out if you guys want to look more into them. I just didn't have, couldn't put every single program guide and in detailed pictures, but I hope that helps you guys with group programs. So what if you're one of those people that just doesn't want to deal with other people? That kind of pose a little bit of a problem to group cessation, because maybe you're like, I don't want to go stand in front of a bunch of people and tell them how I'm having a lot of trouble. I just kind of want to work on it myself. Or what if you don't have the extra hour in the day to go drive on a Thursday afternoon at 6 o'clock to whatever center has the group program? Luckily, there are self-help programs. Um, these are some really great self-help programs. However, they do take much more discipline. It's kind of up to you. It's your own pace. That could be, a little bit more challenging, or it could be really good and you want to pace yourself or even go through it a little bit quicker than a group program's pace might be. So this type of program, cessation program, will include materials likely covered during a group cessation program, but they'll just be more tailored for the person or for the person trying to quit rather than the person trying to hold the program. They're great for people who have limited time or travel a lot. For example, here at Crib, we travel quite a bit. So to maybe there's that person trying to quit has a job where they also travel a lot, so they can't be at the some kind of wellness center at 6 on Wednesday because they'll be traveling. So this would be a really cool option for that type of individual. They also have step-by-step instructions. So if they're nervous about, like, I want to quit, I can try to do it myself, but I don't really know what to do. It walks you through every step, and also has like things that you should probably expect in your journey and that you might expect, so that it doesn't come as a surprise. They're also really discreet if you are kind of just want to keep to yourself about it, or if you're trying to surprise someone and you're going to be away for 2 weeks or something on a business trip, or you just want to try to do it by yourself and then come back home and be like, hey, I'm quit. I've been working on it the whole time. This can be an option too. And it's really independent. So for those people that are like, I don't need anybody, I can really do it myself, I just need some guidance, then this is really appropriate type of program for them. So let's dive a little deeper into what one of these programs might look like or sound like. So this is an example, again, from the American Academy of Family Physicians. There'll be other examples. It just so happens that most of their stuff is the beginning of this webinar. Just kind of work good for the flow. So they have a quit smoking guide. It's a self-help guide, and it has 5 key steps to quitting smoking, and it includes getting ready to quit, you're getting support and encouragement, new skills that you'll have to learn, and new behaviors, getting medicine and using it correctly. So that's really important to have in a self-help guide, because you could also go get like a patch, for example, a nicotine replacement therapy patch. But if you don't know how to use it, or if it's not too clear, the book can help you on how to use it, when to put on a new patch, stuff like that. And it goes into a little more detail than the little tiny excerpt on a little box, because it's important to know how to use it correctly and to use it on a scheduled basis and stuff like that. And then it'll go over how to prepare yourself for relapse or difficult situations. It does take 8 to 12 tries on average to quit smoking, so it has information on there. And again, the link is on the bottom of this one. If it's kind of convoluted and long, you can just go to aafp.org, go in the search box and type in quit smoking guide. It'll pop up as a PDF file. And that's more or less true for the rest of the links on here. So is it really that simple to do those quick 5 steps? Not exactly. They're pretty in-depth in and of itself, but that kind of summarizes what the guide will do. And so I did take the last one, I didn't have a table of contents, but on this one, I did want to kind of share with you guys a little bit of the table of contents and what it might include, because this would be something that someone would be doing on their own. So I wanted to share that one versus the guide that a counselor might review before they go and try to share it with other people. So the horizontal line, the one like this, that one goes over making plans to control your trigger situations. And then on the right of that, the diagonal line that's like this kind of goes into what that would look like. So that one has the title, make plans to control trigger situations, and it has an example of listing what the trigger situations are for that individual, and it happens to be driving and partying. So then on A, B, and C, it has examples of what you're going to do to help control them, and that's like turn up the radio and sing, and ask a non-smoking friend to stay up with you. And then the next page would be blank, and it would have you list what your trigger situations are and what you can do to help control those. So that's a little bit of an insight on what one of those might look like. This has much more to it, and I recommend you check it out too. I hope that kind of gives a little bit of insight on what a self-help program is. So I kind of want to dive into web and mobile-based programs. So as I mentioned before, they kind of go hand in hand with each other. Usually there'll be a website or a program that has a website based, and then they'll have a mobile app with that, and they're used interconnectedly. This could be also used for providers. For example, the California Smokers Helpline has a referral interface, and that's down on the bottom left that says search your organization. So you can just refer online, essentially. Excuse me. So that way the patient can just get a phone call from the Smokers Helpline, and you just kind of type it in for them and basically refer them for them, versus giving them a 1-800-NO-BUTS cards that looks kind of like this here. If they're nervous about calling, they can just wait for one of the calls. There is could also be for the person quitting, and these are primarily focused in that way. So there's the Freedom from Smoking Plus. That's the orange outline in the back, and this is a little snippet from a video they have that's basically like a welcome video that has what the program is about, and it is pretty in-depth, so I didn't have too much to be able to explain it, but I do want to note that it is accessible and it's a pretty good program. This one, all the rest of them were all available for free. I think this one's the only one that I have that cost money. I think it's $99.99. That gives you 12 months to unlimited access to their Freedom from Smoking Plus program. It's available 24/7. You could use it on your computer, tablet, smartphone. And then the cool thing about it is that you can call their helpline if you're like, I want to call, and you can call and access it that way. There's also the in addition to the referral interface from the California Smokers Helpline, they have their own web-based and mobile app products. Those are available for free. They also have a online chat option, which is really cool, and that's like an on-demand. You can do your entire counseling session through the on-demand chat. Theoretically, I don't know if that's their primary thing, but so you have a mobile app that you can access the chat through, and you have the web-based chat option. So you can do kind of a dual program that way. They're really cool. I don't have the California Smokers Helpline link on here, but I have it in the next slide. They're nobuts.org is their website link. So with that, I would like to transition to Telephone um, programs or telephone-based counseling, essentially. So this is the California Smokers Helpline. Their number is 1-800-NO-BUTTS. Their website's nobutts.org. Generates some giggles sometimes, but it's really easy to remember. And I think that that's really important because if you can remember the number, then you know how to access it. So I'll go over what one of those calls might sound like really quickly, since I got to kind of speed it up here on time. And then we will go over some other features that they offer. So they have professional phone counseling. They're an actual referral agency. They have tons of free material. They're almost like a one-stop shop for everything commercial tobacco cessation. The first call lasts about 50 minutes, and it's important to note that you don't have to start quitting right when you call. Some patients may be intimidated by needing to quit immediately when they call, and that's not the case. So what they'll do is they'll get to know each individual's unique situation. They'll boost self-efficacy, increase motivation, make a plan to quit or make a quit plan essentially, and then ideally set a quit date, even if it's 30 days out. And then they'll do follow-up phone calls, which usually only take about 30 minutes, and they'll help go over how the plan is going and if they need to make any adjustments. And this one, that's their gold card, which is available for free through their website. And it has their referral card on there. One other thing that I didn't mention before is that they have a text option. So you have to register your phone through their website, and then you can text at any time, and counselor should get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. And then you can just start doing it through text, or they might refer you to download the mobile app, and then through the mobile app you can do the chat option, which are two different things. There's texting, and then there's the chat option. The chat option's quicker, it's on demand, so it's one of their new features that they may promote more. And I think those may be all of the things available through the Smokers Helpline. And if you guys attend the CRIB/California Smokers Helpline webinar next week, you can probably get more information on that stuff as well, because they'll be talking about their resources during that one a little bit as well. They also offer free training and materials if you are a nurse looking for CEU credits. So what if you're a nurse or a doctor, or you already have a lot of knowledge on quitting, but they're running a clinic and maybe you're still missing some patients and you want resources on how to help you with that? So this is a resource webinar, so I wanted to include some stuff in here for that person if that is something you're looking for. So this is a flow chart from UC Quits. So UC Quits is comprised of 4 major UC hospitals. This particular flow chart I think is from UCSF, and it's public information that's available on the UC Quits website, and you just click on like the training, which the link is down below on the bottom of that slide. And I think they have stuff for people that are trying to quit, but I think it's a really unique resource for providers, because maybe you are a small clinic that's growing and now your old referral flow work needs a little bit of revamping, and you're like thinking, how can I make this more seamless or flow better? If you're ever wondering, like, how do these big hospitals do it? Well, here it is. This is how they do it. So really quickly, I'll kind of flow through it. So this hospital uses a pre-clinic huddle, and the MA identifies a smoker with a black dot on their sheet. Then the MA gets it. They see the black dot. If the doctor has time, he'll provide the counseling. Does he have time? Yes, no. If it's no, the LVN will provide the counseling. Or if they're ready to quit, then you can ask them if they want to phone counseling or in person and refer appropriately. And then if they don't, then it has all the contingencies for that. But I think it's really cool that it has like backups, and it has like every scenario that the patient could have on there. And there's a bunch of these on there that are available for inpatient and outpatient. I think it's really cool if you're a clinic to check this out as a resource as well. So in the organization mode for providers, these are some resources that you can use to what I call become more of an expert. So if you're a doctor or a nurse and you have your patients, they kind of expect for you to be the expert on some things, and maybe you want to kind of prepare yourself a little bit better for more specific questions if you're really passionate about learning more about it. So these would be resources for that particular group. So this is, I'll just kind of go down, and I can spend like probably a week on each of these resources by themselves. So I'll try to do them justice. So RX for Change is a organization from used by pharmacy schools and created for by pharmacists for pharmacists. And with that, they're really good with getting information specifics about medications, as well as referrals and actual counseling. So this is what they teach their pharmacists to do when they have people come up to the pharmacy counter and request cessation information or information on medications as well. They are available completely for free, and they encourage you to use their information so long as you agree to their end user agreement, which you can read on their website, but essentially it's don't use this stuff and say that you did it and make money off of it. And then Purdue University is on here because they are offering a free Train the Trainer course based on the RX for Change. So it's 3 separate courses. They're 2 hours each, and they really dive deeply into the RX for Change curriculum. And if you do that webinar, you are so much more informed on commercial tobacco cessation and all the different medications that you can use. They have really good presenters on there. And if you are a nurse or doctor or dentist or anyone licensed that needs continuing education credits, they offer that as well. And it is available for free also. So the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, they have a giant PDF document, and the RX for Change lists it that on their website that they use a lot of their research. They're not trying to hide it or anything, but they took a lot of the research done by this agency, and they have tons and tons of good information on there. And it's really specific to what kind of research methods were used to come up with the success rate for each medication and things like that. So with that, I'd like to dive a little bit into medications here, and I'm going to just kind of speed through because it's important to know them. But if you need more information on this, I'll link where you can find it, or you can just reach out to me. So there's nicotine replacement therapy and non-nicotine replacement therapy. So the ones on the top left, hopefully you can see my mouse, but that's these here. Those are your over-the-counter medications. That's the lozenge, the patch, and the gum. The lozenge and the gum are considered fast-acting nicotine replacement therapy, and the patch is considered a slow-acting nicotine replacement therapy, and it is advised or encouraged to use these in conjunction with each other. They're taken on a scheduled basis, not on an as-needed basis. And on the gum, you should use a chew and park method. The bottom 2 on the left, those are your nicotine replacement therapy that are available by prescription only, and there is a nasal spray available and an inhaler available. Nasal spray is pretty simple. You a couple sprays in the nose, and then make sure you don't blow your nose, because then it's not going to absorb. The inhaler is more of a puff inhaler than a traditional asthma inhaler, but those are used much less frequently. And then your non-nicotine replacement therapy is your Chantix and your Zyban. Zyban has the most contraindications and is available. Those are both prescription only. It has It's an antidepressant, and it's something that works pretty well, but you'll have to talk to your doctor or advise to patients to talk to their doctor before they consider it. And Chantix has some of the best success rates by itself, but could be used with some of these other methods. It blocks the nicotine receptors in the brain and the body, and it can be taken like a week before the quit date. And then when you hit the quit date, you'll find that throughout that week, it was a lot easier to just not have a cigarette or, chew tobacco or vape or whatever it is you're trying to quit. So if you want more information on these, you can download this guide or let me know in the chat box or email me and I can get you this guide. This is from the American Academy of Family Physicians and RX for Change. And this has all of the information on like dosage, duration, if it's over the counter or not, and kind of how to take it. I realize it's pretty small here. The goal here is to show you what the form looks like, and then you can access it yourself and download it if you'd like. So this is it here on the bottom from the American Academy of Family Physicians. You can just type it into their search box and type in pharmacological product guide. So e-cigarettes seems to be the big question nowadays. So what's going on with e-cigarettes? As I mentioned earlier, there's like a lot of really mixed information out there. And my recommendation would be to always use a really reputable source. I found one that works really great for me, but to simplify and minimize the information, I wanted to just share one complete and concise source, which is through the CDC. And then they came out with a really cool webinar, or not webinar, infographic that kind of just like, it's like the need to knows. This particular image is from that infographic, but this is just one image that shows how like it's just much more clear and quick to be able to see it. But then they cite all of the different studies that they used for that information. And I think the coolest part is that if there's not any information out there yet, they don't just make an assumption and say whatever they want. They say there is an inconclusive amount of evidence, or there is too much mixed research information to have an answer at this time. So I think that's why it's so useful. So I'll go over some of the, I have the infographic here, so it kind of looks like this. I'll go over some of the stuff that's in it so I can share with you guys a little bit about how you can find how you can use some of this information yourself. Let's go into what are some of the health effects of using e-cigarettes. So they have a little infographic here that talks about that too. It says scientists are still learning about the long-term health effects of e-cigarettes. Here's what we know now. So I like how they share that this is what we can tell you with the information right now. So most e-cigarettes contain nicotine, which has known health effects. Nicotine is highly addictive. Nicotine is toxic to developing fetuses, and nicotine can nicotine can harm adolescent brain development. In addition, children and adults who have been poisoned by swallowing, breathing, or absorbing the nicotine or the e-cigarette liquid. So it just has like facts on what we know, and I encourage you to check it out. I would even print it out and just kind of have it handy to just have quick facts, since it's something that a lot of people have questions about. But in the interest of this webinar, I just kind of wanted to show you guys where you can find it. So I got about 5 minutes here. So being that we are a native focused organization, I wanted to share some native specific cessation programs and some information where you can find native specific information. So Second Wind is a good one. They have 6 basic components, and I'll let you guys read those on your own, or check them out once we post them on there. And you can contact me for more information on that, but it is a native specific cessation program. And this is what I like to call team cessation. So some of these I alluded to during the webinar. So there's 1-800-NO-BUTTS, Tobacco Free California. I didn't get to touch on, but they have really cool videos. They have like teens vaping, so that all the people that are like, no, they're only being used for people trying to quit that are like adults. They kind of show how that's not the case, and big tobacco is in fact targeting teens and young adults. Campaign for Tobacco Free Kids has really good information if you're trying to target or trying to work on prevention at a younger level, and they have what some of the schools throughout the nation are doing in their area. There's the American Academy of Family Physicians, UC Quits, Center of Disease Control and Prevention, Purdue University, American Lung Association. They had that Freedom from Smoking app and website. There is also the National Native Network. They have a lot of good information for cultural tobacco use or sacred tobacco use by American Indian Alaskan Natives. They're also native specific, and I think it'd be really cool to check out. I would actually be your California National Native Network representative. So if you have information on that, I can provide you with that too. And of course, the fabulous California Rural Indian Health Board. We can provide you guys with tailored native specific commercial tobacco cessation trainings to fit your specific needs. We can also provide a cultural or sacred tobacco information if you were looking for that as well, or at least where you can get that information or those resources. So with that, seems like we're getting close to our hour here. In case you guys have other appointments to get to, I'd want to respect your time. So I know I went through some of those last slides pretty quickly. So if you have any information, you can jot them in the chat box now, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. But I would like to thank you guys for your time and for sitting through this webinar. My information and the Acorn site team information is on here as well, and you can contact any of us, and we'll try to help you in any way that we can. Let me, oh boy, chat box. All right. Cool, no questions yet. So I would like to launch the evaluation poll for you guys, and then maybe I'll just chat on some extra resources while you guys do that quick poll. And it is important to us. We really take these evaluations into consideration when doing our next webinar. Oops, stop share.